I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Julpy and Ghosty. Oh, some paper towels. How nice. It's a very, very professional of us.
Tristania, the Ravens. Is this
This is for bloody voodoo dolls.
Bloody voodoo dolls? What happened?
Who we found out was a man.
Where are the alliance picks?
Well, I mean, I can load some of that up after.
Okay. So, Tristania, the Ravens by Bloody Voodoo Dolls. There are multiple ways, dear listener, for you to get your song reviewed. One is a traditional way, email, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz. And there is also my favorite way, which is Patreon, $1 at the gate, gets you in, and then you get sucked into the rabbit hole, as they say. All the alliances are basically based around certain genres, and so they're kind of
fun.
Similar personalities. You get into a Discord server, all that beautiful stuff. So, you $1, and then you kind of make your case with your alliance, and then you get your song selected. But another way to do it is to jump straight to the head of the line, which is what Bloody Voodoo Dolls did. $75 partner tier, which is going away in 2 days.
Seriously, what may I help you with?
It's a leap year. Then it's going to go to $125, but that gets you straight to the head of the line. So that's what Bloody Voodoo Dolls did. For timely, topical, political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. We just covered the Democratic debates, where we stay the entire time from start to finish. One of the things that people told me was that we were the only channel where
I guess people were getting shut down.
People were getting shut down.
I mean,
so
I don't understand why we weren't.
We're not. I'm not gonna give away our secret sauce, but.
You have a secret?
I do. So it's we did 3 hours straight live, and it's political, but everybody was having fun.
Oh yeah.
Everybody got to share their opinions, and aside from Ben Webb, everybody was nice and all that jazz. Once we get caught up on this in our Patreon Alliance picks, and we're going to be doing regular firesides like we did way back in the day. Where we're
looking forward to that. We've been missing that for sure. So
yeah, it's a very big missing link in our kind of life cycle with the channel. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for subscribing to us. We appreciate it. We do not take it for granted, and we're still blown away every time we get new subscribers because that's pretty special, man. When you've got people doing that. So I wanted to shout out a couple new folks. So Rorik1232, shout out to you, big homie.
Shout out to you.
Up Week 7, shout out to you. Reynold GB, shout out to you. Soul's Marrow, that's a good one. A good name, Soul's Marrow. I might have to do something for such a cool name. Email me, Soul's Marrow.
Here he goes.
I think the last 5 shirts we did it. Fine, don't email me, Soul's Marrow.
Well, no, he said it. Email him.
Now you're gonna be mad at me, but I really I like the name of that. All right, let's go.
Oh my god.
We're gonna be broke.
Okay.
The Ravens, Tristania, let's go.
Go.
Feeling this already.
Symbols of Maine. My hair is wet.
So that till your skull VB.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Feebly, I think it means to the earth we came, or to the earth we go, or something like that. Because I'm on this website right now and it says till your skull do bleed, which sounds very close.
Yeah.
And then when you translate it, it says from the earth have you come, to the earth will you be.
Oh.
So it's probably a way of saying dust to dust in Norwegian.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
You know, in a Norse way. And this is probably I, and that's probably we.
Yeah.
Or you versus I. So it's basically dust to dust, like accepting your death, which probably means...
Look at the beginning, only ashes and bones remain. What is he talking about?
The past has been fed to the flint. Well, I think this is... Since this is Norwegian, I think this is, you know, the last vestiges of their culture before it gets subsumed under the Christian.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I will not bend to a cross. I will not kneel at your feet.
So.
But why did it say greed and anger made us younger?
That is such a brilliant line.
Yeah.
Because usually you would expect it to go the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's very, very interesting. Which we'll get to in a second. Sonically, it was very, very different, especially with the, you know, anytime I've ever heard any of the Norwegian stuff or the Viking stuff or the things of the past, it's always been like the seething anger or maybe like straight up metal heavy.
Yeah.
Bah, 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 bah.
Yep.
And it wasn't like that, you know, it was more kind of almost like gothy. A little bit. We just listened to Bauhaus yesterday, so it was kind of like a gothy rock type of thing. But it's you know, it's still there, kind of talking about, you know, what happened in the past. And
I actually think I heard a song from this band because
I
put on Within Temptation when we were at the gym, and it was just kind of like playing the next one and the next one, and I think I actually might have heard one of these.
Whoa. Okay.
I like this type of music. I like it when there's the pretty female vocals, and then as far as the death vocals go, I'm picky about what I like.
Right, you
and
are.
This I do like his though. I don't like it to be Cookie Monster-ish. I don't like it. I like the sound. I like the sound of his, and obviously like anything that I thought he kind of sounded like Behemoth a little bit.
Really?
In his voice. Yeah,
Nergal?
in his voice. Yeah, I thought, Nergal. But, and also, it was so weird, because at the beginning, I thought he sounded like Peter Steele. Did you?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the genre, the goth, I think it...
Yeah, it was like, kind of gave me goosebumps, because I was like...
We're probably misnaming the genre, but it sounded goth. Maybe I'm thinking that because we just listened to Bauhaus.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I don't know. What was that thing? Remember when you put, like... bog metal or something like that in the list on our
sludge.
No,
I just made something.
But didn't it happen like whatever you made up with like actually was something?
Yeah.
But people were like messaging us and they were like, "What is this genre? I want to hear." I was like,
"Tell us the name of the band."
Just made it up. It's in the introduction for your actual like channel. It had like about us or something like that. You're like all these different types of metal. But yeah, I agree with you. It seemed kind of had that gothic sort of feel to it. I liked it.
It's a really, you know, as Americans, our culture was born in this whole "give me liberty, give me death."
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing, and it was kind of forced. But the thing about American culture is that, you know, the initial guys that came over here were fleeing persecution from the same group of people that destroyed these people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? It was the Protestants were fleeing Bloody Mary. You know, the Roman Catholics. And, you know, shout out to the Catholics. I got much love for Catholics, but you know, you guys had an interesting run in sort of like the Middle Ages, and so like these guys were like raising hell all over the world, and so as Americans, you know, so your forefathers come over here fleeing, you know, persecution and, you know, hoping for religious liberty, which of course the reason I never put religious destruction and stuff on the Catholic Church and separate myself from as Protestants is because the Protestants, as soon as they touched down, began to persecute the hell out of the Native Americans. So that tells me that the only reason that the Protestants weren't out doing that is because they didn't have the power.
Yeah.
So those were our
human nature.
No, it's not.
What do you mean?
I agree with you. I'm just being dumb.
I was like, wow. The way you said it, I was like, "Mom."
No, I'm just being dumb.
What do you mean it's not human nature?
The five people that know what I was doing are rolling their eyes and angry at me. But you know, what was it the guy said in the chat yesterday
That's the worst thing about you is you're so lovable and
maddening and irritating, and then you got Peter. It says Vin's so hard to love, and then you got I got a body count of people that I think feel guilty for liking me. I think that's what it is.
You do have that contradiction about you, though.
I don't really ever feel like you hate me.
No, but you make me mad.
Yeah,
you make me so mad sometimes. Yeah. And then I'm like, why? And you're so cute though, like the way that I'm like, oh my goodness, so but I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
Like
don't push me. Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled. I try to stand on my feet, but I fall. I try to walk, but I crawl. Life as we knew it is over.
And you were gone, forever gone. So you think that someone died in the midst of all that?
Somebody probably got burned at the stake.
Yikes.
Right? Ashes and bones remain.
Yeah.
The past has been fed to flames.
And my hair is wet. My eyes are sore. He would have been close to the flames, so he'd have been sweating, and also his eyes would be burning from being that close.
You know, there was
wow.
Somebody was when Ali, during the time of Ali, and then somebody was like, oh, we're going to burn this guy, and Ali said, don't do that, because I heard Rasulullah say, do not punish anyone with Allah's punishment.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So
yeah,
that's a hell of a thing, man. SubhanAllah, that's terrible. That I just can't get over it. You would burn these people alive, and everybody would come around in these.
I don't understand.
And watch that. See,
I literally can't process that.
Okay, so my theory about in the Old Testament, you had these public stonings, but it wasn't you would watch. The entire community had to take part in the stoning.
Yeah.
And that's why there's only probably you see Achan, and there's one other one in the entire Old Testament where you actually heard about a stoning. And I just think that people couldn't do it. And so that's why you only saw two instances in the entire Genesis to Malachi of stonings in the OT. And I just think that people couldn't do it. And I think it's kind of like, you know the whole thing about the death penalty. And God is not portrayed as being very pro-death penalty up until the flood. So he lets Cain go. He doesn't give Cain the death penalty. He allows Cain to live, and he actually says, I'm going to be your bodyguard. I'm not going to let anybody touch you. And then people look at that and they go, oh, well, God's protecting Cain, so then if I kill somebody, then nobody can touch me. And then it says the world became full of violence, and so then after the flood, God says, fine, you can have your death penalty, because otherwise you guys are just going to completely kill each other. And so anyway, I think the fact that he forced the entire... You didn't have one... that's the whole point of the firing squad. The reason you have a firing squad, you get 9 guys shooting one, so you can walk away feeling that you didn't necessarily do it.
You might have done it.
Yeah. You get the other guy who has a hood over his face because it's a shameful thing to kill a defenseless human being.
Oh my god.
So you wear a hood over your face.
So that nobody knows that it was you that did it.
So that you can kind of So there's all this psychology that goes into killing people. And so I think the reason in the Old Testament that the entire community had to do it, where God was like, okay, if you guys are actually going to kill this person, he deserves to die, then everybody in the community does.
Yeah.
And I don't think the people could bear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you saw many times in the Old Testament where people did things death penalty worthy, and people just kind of looked the other way.
Yeah.
Because they just...
Well, it's like, when you're talking to somebody and they're talking all tough, but then they actually get face to face with the person and they're like, well, you tried your best.
Right. It's true. And you even see it with, be one thing is guys are in a firefight or whatever, and then, but then the guy is like hurt or whatever, they immediately go to medic and help the guy and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult to kill a person who cannot defend themselves. And so it's kind of like God saying, okay, you want the death penalty? All you guys have to do it then. And I think that functions as a deterrent. But what ends up happening in the Middle Ages is that it becomes a spectator sport where you almost get to enjoy a person being killed, look at it for the spectacle that it is, but at the same time you don't have to take part in it. So you can go home and eat your Sunday dinner, but you just saw somebody being burned alive.
I don't understand that. I can't throw in with you on that. I just can't.
What do you mean?
Like, I can't imagine just standing there watching somebody get killed.
I agree.
I can't.
No, I'm not.
I can't go home and eat dinner after that.
Well, people did.
I know. And
People
honest
did.
to goodness, that has always, like,
Strange stuff, man.
terrified and fascinated me simultaneously that people could be a part of that. When I see, like, all those people circled around and watching the gladiators and stuff like that, like, it's mind-boggling to me. And then when the crowd says, like, yeah, like, kill him, I just can't even understand it. Like, the person's life is, like, literally right there, and you're gonna shove them over into eternity.
You don't know the person. Person did nothing to you.
Yeah.
And there you go.
And some of these people just have the crime of being poor.
It's a milk of human kindness. And lest people think, lest we be overly simplistic and say, oh, that's religion. Sorry. Go look at
Fascinated is not the word. It's curious.
Go look at the antebellum slave trade, where you had regular folk lynching black folk, mutilating their body, and you can see pictures of these people basically having bringing their kids there. These sick bastards bringing their kids. Look at this stuff.
When they put them in those small little areas.
What do you mean?
When they took them from Africa and brought them over, and they stuck them in those things that were no bigger than a coffin or smaller than a coffin. I can't even, stuff like that too. I'm like, how can you shove a human being in that situation and be okay with it? Well, and the whole time that you're on the...
You have a caste system of value. So they're not really, they're human, but they're not, you're not really. But my point is...
If one thing's out of line for me, I start getting all stressed out about it. I'm like, one time I got head lice, and it was in the middle of the night, and I had to wait until morning to start those treatments. That bugged me right out. I'm like, and then after that, I was like, I always want to have head lice treatment on hand, so in case that ever happens. But it's like, I can't imagine being shackled and then thrown underneath like that, and then my shoulder dislocating and having to stay there like that the whole entire trip.
Yeah. My point was that the lynchings were not theological; they were sociological.
Mm-hmm.
They were designed to
keep the other ones in line.
And
by fear.
And it became a public show, and you see white people looking at the smiling with their kids and all the rest of it, because it was
all dressed up. Some of them
symbol of white supremacy.
It's disgusting.
Well.
What do you mean? Well,
it's disgusting to you looking back. Sure.
What are you trying to say?
But a lot of people don't know this about lynching, but we just, like yesterday, actually outlawed lynching. Like literally yesterday.
Wow.
House bill passes anti-lynching bill after 120 years of failure.
Wow.
There's Emmett Till. So, my point is, let's not be simplistic and say that's damn religious. Mm-hmm. Of course, damn religious people. That's our team, so we're gonna call them out first. But let's not pretend. There's a common denominator here, but it's not religion. I mean, you've got sociological ramifications of people getting lynched, and here we are in 2020, and we just passed anti-lynching laws yesterday. So you tell me what the common denominator is, dear listener. It's not white people, and it's not religion. So you figure that out. Figure that out amongst yourselves. But in this particular context, though, it was absolutely religious people, and they did it. And if it's talking about burning at the stake, you're talking about a public. And some of it was, I will say, some of it was you were forced to watch this stuff, and if you didn't, then people would look at you and say, "Well, what's going on with you?" So they would force you to watch this stuff. Like it happens in North Korea with public executions. If you're not And if, I mean, shoot, in North Korea, if you're not crying when Kim Jong-un is sad, then you know. So, I mean, it's a horrible, horrible situation, and people do what they have to do to survive. But, I mean, imagine being the type of person that's like, you know, he talks about he senses the presence of the birds, which is interesting, because he's obviously talking about carrion, he's talking about vultures, you know, and your impending doom, and like, I've been in situations where I'm like, this is not looking good. But I've never been in a situation where, like, I could have got out, but because of my conviction, I'm looking at my impending death. And, you know, that is a completely different thing. Yeah. It's one thing to go in and, you know, die on your shield and you die in battle. Everybody knows, hey, you go into battle, you could die. It's a completely other thing to say, nope, because we're completely defeated. These guys are superior, whatever. But I would rather die than and it's not even like for like me, like when I think about slavery and I, you know, read Roots and all the rest of it, I'm like, okay, I would just die. Because the alternative is basically a long, slow death under extreme oppression. You're separated from your family. You know your daughter's getting raped, all the rest of it. And you just kill yourself anyway. Whereas these guys, these Vikings, that wasn't necessarily the case. You were not completely and totally enslaved. You could basically still live a comfortable life. You just have to give up all your old ways and your traditions and all the rest of it, which is terrible. But a lot of them, as a matter of fact, the vast majority of them said, okay. But so what I'm saying is it takes even more of a, in my mind, intestinal fortitude and conviction to say, no, I would rather die in this situation than the slavery situation. To me, the slavery situation is a completely easy choice. I mean, shoot, even in Islam, a lot of people don't know this, but in Islam, if somebody's oppressing you and all that and telling you to deny you can do it. You can curse Muhammad, you can curse Allah, you can act like you're a munafiq, you can act like you're a mushrik, whatever, and internally still have, but Muhammad made that exception. Yeah. You know, and that's why Bilal was such a legendary figure, because Muhammad said, okay guys, you can, when they were being persecuted in the Meccan faith.
And he didn't?
He said, okay, and Bilal wouldn't, under severe suffering. I mean, they brought the guy out in the middle of the desert, they heated up the stones to 400 degrees, they pressed it on his body, you know, he had scars all over his body. You know, Umar ibn al-Khattab, he said, let me see your scars. Umar was like toughest, baddest Muslim on the planet, and he cried his eyes out when he saw the mutilation of. But that's why he's such a high, like, legendary figure, is because he could have, but he didn't. And everybody else did, but he didn't. And so, like, these Vikings who it's one thing to die, it's one kind of bravery to die in war, but to die like this is the epitome. You know, and I you know, you gotta, whatever you believe about them and their afterlife and paganism and all the rest of it, you gotta at minimum say, wow. You know, like, understanding your doom, knowing that you're going back to the earth, and obviously me as a Christian, you know, the God that I know, I just don't believe that that all those guys are not with him. Just don't believe it. Especially when the first representatives of his religion were us, who killed them, burned them at the stake, raped their women, stole all their resources, and destroyed their culture.
Right, exactly.
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I know.
It wasn't the Great Commission.
The Christians are going to email. All right, you're talking about, you're a compromiser. All right. I'm not a compromiser. I believe that Jesus is the only way, but I think that Jesus has many ways of getting to people. And you're trying to tell me that the first time they hear about Jesus is from these evil motherfuckers, and that Jesus is going to say, tough luck, kid? Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. We don't know what happens with people in the moments between those moments.
Yeah, and like, the spirit of a person is so sacred that you can't even begin to understand what goes on spirit to spirit. Right. And, you know, God is a spirit, and so when he's able to reach our spirits in ways that, you know.
And there's overlap between, Odin and the tree, and I don't know the Odin story very well. I wish somebody needs to reach out to me, but Odin kind of like died on a tree and he lost his eye and he sacrificed and all that. I mean, I think he did it for knowledge and wisdom or something like that. But at minimum, there's some sort of overlap there, and I think that there's a, God plants these things in all the cultures so that we can get back to them.
I agree.
So I believe I'll be seeing a lot of these beautiful people when we're all with the A and Soph. What do you give the song?
8.3.
This is, I'm going to give it a solid 9 just because out of respect for everybody, man, who went out this way under the hand of some truly evil motherfuckers. Religious, sociological, I don't care what the reason is. We just need to stop killing each other. How about that? Just give each other a hug. If you disagree with a person's religion, just give them a hug. Or no religion, give them a hug. They'll hug you back. I've experienced it. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.
My hair is wet, my eyes are sore. The past has been fed to the flames. I cannot breathe anymore.